Spain is a land that never stops reinventing itself. While the world knows it for golden beaches and ancient stone, there is a brand new energy pulsing through this Mediterranean jewel. In 2025, Spain feels more alive than ever. It is a place where futuristic architecture sits comfortably beside Roman ruins, and where the tradition of the siesta is being met with a cutting-edge culinary scene that is taking the world by storm. From the volcanic peaks of the Canary Islands to the lush green mountains of the north, the sheer variety of landscapes here is staggering. Whether you are looking for the high energy of a cosmopolitan city or the quiet charm of a hidden village, this country offers a unique rhythm of life that you cannot find anywhere else. Perched high above the city of Granada, the Alhambra Palace is perhaps the most breathtaking example of Islamic architecture in the entire world. This sprawling complex is not just a palace, but a massive fortress and a small city all in one, built primarily during the 13th and 14th centuries. As you walk through the Nasrid palaces, you will see walls covered in such intricate detail they almost look like lace. These patterns were created using carved plaster and colorful tiles, often featuring geometric shapes and beautiful Arabic poetry. The highlight of this area is the Court of the Lions, where 12 marble lions support a central fountain surrounded by a forest of 124 slender columns. Just a short walk away, you will find the Generalife. This was the summer estate for the kings of Granada, designed as a place of absolute peace and relaxation. The gardens here are legendary, filled with the sound of running water from ancient fountains and the scent of jasmine and roses. The Sagrada Familia is a masterpiece of light and stone that truly defies description. This massive basilica is the life work of the legendary architect Antoni Gaudí, and it has been under construction for over 140 years. Even today, as the final towers are being completed, it remains one of the most unique and iconic structures on the planet. The exterior of the building is like a giant stone Bible, with 3 grand facades that tell the story of the life of Christ. The Nativity facade is a chaotic and beautiful celebration of nature and life, while the Passion facade is striking for its sharp, angular lines that represent suffering and sacrifice. Stepping inside is like walking into a massive, enchanted forest. Gaudí designed the interior columns to branch out like trees, stretching up to a ceiling that seems to float high above you. The most magical part is the stained glass windows. The Mosque Cathedral of Córdoba is a place where history is physically layered, one era directly on top of another. It is a stunning architectural puzzle that represents the complex soul of Spain. Originally built as a grand mosque in the 8th century, this site was the heart of Islamic Spain for hundreds of years before being converted into a Christian cathedral in the 13th century. The first thing that will take your breath away is the famous forest of columns. There are over 850 pillars made of precious materials like jasper, onyx, marble, and granite. Many of these stones were actually recycled from even older Roman and Visigothic buildings. Above these columns, you will see a mesmerizing network of double-tiered arches with alternating red and white stripes. This design was not just for beauty. It allowed the architects to build much higher ceilings than ever before. As you walk deeper into the building, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. Right in the middle of the thousands of Islamic arches, a massive Renaissance cathedral nave rises toward the sky. It is a surreal sight to see, a golden Christian altar and carved mahogany choir stalls surrounded by the silent, rhythmic patterns of a medieval mosque. The Plaza de España in Seville is a spectacle of light, color, and grand design that feels like a movie set come to life. Built for the Ibero-American Exposition of 1929, this massive semicircular complex is one of the most photographed spots in all of Europe. It was designed to showcase the beauty of Spanish industry and craftsmanship, and it remains a masterpiece of regional architecture. The building wraps around a vast central plaza, and a long canal follows the curve of the structure. You can actually rent a small boat and row along the water, passing under 4 beautiful bridges that represent the 4 ancient kingdoms of Spain. Each bridge is decorated with intricate blue and white ceramic tiles that sparkle under the Andalusian sun. One of the most charming features of the plaza is the series of 48 tiled alcoves located along the base of the main building. Each alcove represents a different province of Spain, featuring a colorful map and a mural depicting a significant historical event from that region. It has become a tradition for visitors to find the alcove of their favorite Spanish city and take a photo there. Toledo is often called the city of the three cultures, and walking through its ancient gates feels like stepping directly back into the Middle Ages. For centuries, Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived together within these stone walls, and that unique history is carved into every building and narrow alleyway. The entire old city is a labyrinth of steep, winding streets perched on a rocky hill, surrounded on three sides by the dramatic gorge of the Tagus River. The skyline is dominated by two massive structures. First is the Alcázar, a stone fortress that sits at the highest point of the city, serving as a symbol of strength for generations. The second is the primate cathedral of St. Mary, which is considered one of the greatest Gothic structures in Europe. Inside, the cathedral is filled with incredible treasures, including massive gold altarpieces and masterpieces by the famous painter El Greco, who spent much of his life in this very city. As you explore, you will find hidden gems like the Santa Maria la Blanta, which is one of the oldest synagogues in Europe, and the Mosque of Cristo de la Luz, a small but perfectly preserved building that dates back over 1,000 years. The craftsmanship of Toledo is also world famous, especially its tradition of making swords and Damascene art, which is the skill of inlaying gold and silver into black steel. The Aqueduct of Segovia is a marvel of ancient engineering that has stood at the heart of the city for nearly 2,000 years. Built by the Romans around the end of the 1st century, it is one of the best preserved elevated Roman aqueducts in the world. What makes it truly incredible is that the entire structure is held together by nothing but gravity. Not a single drop of mortar or cement was used to join the 20,000 massive blocks of granite. As you stand in the Plaza de la Zohego, the aqueduct rises to its most impressive height of nearly 29 meters. It consists of 2 tiers of majestic arches that stretch across the valley, carrying water from the cold springs of the mountains over 15 kilometers away. The precision of the Roman engineers is staggering, as the granite blocks were cut so perfectly that they have remained in place despite centuries of wind, weather, and the vibrations of modern life. Walking along the base of the structure, you can see the rough texture of the stones and the sheer scale of the pillars. If you climb the stairs at the end of the plaza, you can reach an elevated viewing point that allows you to look down the top of the aqueduct and see how it cuts through the city toward the old quarter. The Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela is one of the most sacred and impressive landmarks in the world. As the final destination of the legendary Camino de Santiago pilgrimage, it has welcomed millions of travelers for over 1,000 years. The The massive structure you see today is a beautiful blend of styles, with a grand Baroque exterior that hides a majestic Romanesque heart. When you stand in the Plaza del Obradoro, the sheer scale of the Twin Towers and the ornate granite carvings is overwhelming. But the true magic begins when you step inside. The most famous treasure of the cathedral is the Portico of Glory. This 12th century masterpiece features over 200 individual sculptures carved with such lifelike detail that they seem ready to speak. At the center is the figure of Saint James, offering a warm welcome to all who have traveled hundreds of kilometers to reach this spot. Deep beneath the high altar lies the silver crypt containing the remains of Saint James the Apostle. For many, reaching this quiet, holy space is the emotional peak of their entire journey through Spain. The town of Ronda is home to one of the most dramatic sights in all of Spain, the Puente Nuevo Bridge. This massive stone structure spans the El Tajo Gorge, a sheer drop of 120 meters that separates the old Moorish town from the newer parts of the city. While the name translates to the New Bridge, it was actually completed in 1793 after 34 years of intense and dangerous construction. The engineering of this bridge is truly a marvel of the 18th century. Its foundations reach all the way down to the riverbed at the bottom of the canyon, with massive arches that seem to grow directly out of the rocky cliffs. The stone used to build it was actually quarried from the bottom of the gorge itself, which is why the bridge blends so perfectly with the natural landscape around it. There is a hidden history tucked inside the bridge as well. Look closely at the central arch, and you will see a small window. This marks a hidden chamber that once served as a prison for dangerous criminals, and later it was used during the Spanish Civil War. Today, you can visit this room to see an exhibition about the history and construction of the bridge, without the dark atmosphere of its past. The Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao is a shimmering masterpiece that looks more like a giant silver sculpture than a building. Designed by the world-renowned architect Frank Gehry and opened in 1997, this museum completely transformed Bilbao from a struggling industrial port into a global center for culture. The building is made of glass, limestone, and over 33,000 thin titanium sheets that are designed to look like the scales of a fish. Depending on the weather and the time of day, the titanium changes color, shifting from a bright silver to a warm golden glow. Before you even step inside, the exterior is filled with iconic pieces of art that have become symbols of the city. You will be greeted by Puppy, a massive 12-meter tall sculpture of a terrier dog covered entirely in thousands of fresh, living flowers that change with the seasons. On the riverside of the building, you will find Maman, a terrifyingly beautiful bronze spider that stands over 9 meters high. The interior of the museum is just as revolutionary as the outside. Everything is organized around a massive central atrium that reaches a height of over 50 meters. The Royal Palace of Madrid is a symbol of elegance and power that stands as the largest functioning royal palace in all of Western Europe. Built on the site of a medieval Muslim fortress that was destroyed by fire in 1734, the current palace is a massive stone structure designed to be completely fireproof. It contains over 3,400 rooms, making it nearly double the size of the famous Palace of Versailles. As you enter, your journey begins at the grand staircase, which was carved from a single piece of Spanish marble. Looking up, you will see a breathtaking ceiling fresco that represents the triumph of the Spanish monarchy. The palace is a living museum filled with priceless works of art by masters like Goya, Velázquez, and Caravaggio. One of the most unique treasures hidden inside is the world's only complete Stradivarius string quintet. Park Güell is a place where the imagination of Antoni Gaudí was allowed to run completely wild, turning a rocky hillside into a colorful fairy tale landscape. Originally intended to be a luxury housing estate, it eventually became a public park that feels more like a work of modern art than a traditional garden. It is a place where nature and architecture blend together so perfectly that it is hard to tell where the stone ends and the trees begin. The most famous spot in the park is the Nature Square, a massive open terrace surrounded by a long, winding bench. This bench is covered in a technique called trencadís, which uses thousands of broken pieces of colorful ceramic tiles to create vibrant mosaics. The bench is curved to fit the shape of the human body, making it a perfect place to sit and look out over the city of Barcelona toward the Mediterranean Sea. As you walk down the grand staircase, you will meet the most famous resident of the park, the multicolored mosaic dragon, or salamander. This friendly-looking creature has become a symbol of the city and is a favorite spot for travelers to capture a memory of their trip. The city walls of Avila are one of the most perfectly preserved medieval fortifications in the world. As you approach the city, the sight of these massive granite walls rising from the plains of Castile is like looking at a scene from a history book. Completed between the 11th and 14th centuries, the wall completely surrounds the old town, stretching for over 2.5 kilometers without a single break. What makes these walls so impressive is their sheer scale and strength. They feature 88 semicircular towers and 9 grand entrance gates. The walls are about 12 meters high and 3 meters thick, which allowed the city to remain a safe stronghold for hundreds of years. Because the city of Avila is located more than 1,000 meters above sea level, these stones have withstood centuries of harsh winters and high winds. The best way to experience this historic site is to walk along the top of the walls. There are sections totaling over 1,000 meters that are open to the public, offering a bird's eye view of the narrow streets and hidden gardens of the old city on one side, and the vast Spanish countryside on the other. The Burgos Cathedral is a masterpiece of Spanish Gothic architecture that dominates the skyline of the city of Burgos with its elegant, open-work spires. It is the only cathedral in Spain that has been awarded the title of a World Heritage Site by UNESCO on its own, without being part of a larger historical center. Construction began in the year 1221 and continued for over 300 years, resulting in a building that is a stunning encyclopedia of artistic styles. The first thing you'll notice are the 2 twin spires that reach 84 meters into the sky. These are famous for their delicate stone needlework that looks as light as lace. As you enter through the grand doorways, the interior opens up into a vast space filled with light and incredibly detailed stone carvings. One of the most famous features inside is the golden staircase. Built in the 16th century, this double flight of stairs is decorated with beautiful gilded ironwork. Cudillero is a hidden treasure tucked away on the rugged coastline of Asturias in northern Spain. Unlike the wide, sandy beaches of the south, this village is carved into a steep, natural amphitheater that faces the deep blue waters of the Cantabrian Sea. It is widely considered to be one of the most beautiful and colorful fishing villages in the entire country. The most striking feature of Cudillero is the collection of houses that seem to hang from the cliffs. These homes are painted in a vibrant palette of reds, blues, greens, and yellows, creating a brilliant contrast against the gray stone of the mountains and the white foam of the waves. Legend says that the fishermen used the leftover paint from their boats to decorate their houses, which is how the village got its signature look. As you walk through the narrow, winding cobblestone streets, you will find that there is almost no flat ground. Every path leads either up toward a spectacular viewpoint or down toward the bustling harbor.